you very much. First of all, on behalf of my colleague and myself, we would like to thank the USAID for the opportunity to talk to this forum. We are delighted to do it. Next, please. I will be talking about give a brief overview of the Moroccan higher educational system, then talk about the employability of university graduates and specifically on the problems we face in that respect, and then finally present the solutions we are implementing to meet the challenges we are facing to improve the prospects of employability of university graduates. Next, please. So next, please. The Moroccan higher educational system dates back to 859 with the creation of Al-Qarawiyyin University, which was established by a woman, Fatima Al-Fihriya. And what I am showing here is a document that can be considered as the oldest doctorate in medicine documented and known to date. It was issued by Al-Qarawiyyin University to Dr. Abdullah ibn Saleh Al-Kutami in 1207. That university is still functioning up to date. Next, please. The system has undergone, the higher educational system has undergone different developments with some important milestones that I'm showing here in this slide. One of them is the global reform that we started in 2000 by the adoption of the Comprehensive Organizing Law 0100. That was the first law that organizes the higher educational system in its entirety. And incidentally, these reforms were spurred by the desire to improve employability of the graduates. Now we are in, at the moment where we are implementing a very important and profound reform that we call Pact ISRI that I will be talking about later on. Next, please. So through these developments, we have achieved some important achievements. First of all, concerning the access, since the student population has evolved greatly from 2011 to 2020, you see in this graph the increase of the student population, that we have a steep increase of the number of students in the higher educational system. We also have a system that's very affordable, since public education is free, there is no tuition. And on top of that, needy students benefit from scholarships and very, very low cost accommodations. We also achieved very important progress in terms of geographical proximity, because we have at least one university in each of 10 regions. Morocco has 12 regions. And we have higher education institutions in all the 12 regions. In each region, we have at least one higher educational institution. We also made great progress in terms of the diversity of the programs we offer. We have more than 3,500 accredited programs and the diversity of the types of institutions. Next, please. So this slide gives an overview of salient features of the system. First of all, we have three components. We have public higher education, we have private higher education, and we have what we call partnership higher education, which is like land grant institutions in the American system. So we have 12 public universities that are under the authority of the higher education ministry. The 13th one, which is incidentally Al-Qarawiyyin University, is under the authority of the Ministry of Islamic Affairs. In the 12 universities, we have 5 universities that are partnership universities and 5 private universities. In terms of the number of student population, we have more than 1 million student population. 95% of those students are in the public system, 1.4% in the partnership system, and 3.6% in the private system. In terms of the graduates, we graduate more than 130,000 students. Again, most of them are in the public system, with 84% in public universities, 8.5% in public institutions that are not part of universities, and we have 65% in private universities. One thing that's important, that's worth mentioning, is that in terms of access, we have two different types of access. We have what we call open access institutions, which means you just need to have a high school diploma to get in. And we have selective access, where you have to, either to go through a national contest or through file assessment to get in. Medical schools, pharmacy, engineering schools, business schools, teacher training schools, schools of technology, these are selective access. So we have most of the students are in the open access regime. That's where we have most of the students, and that's where we have most of the graduates, and that's where we have most of the problems as well. So in the open access students, 82% hold bachelor degrees. So the graduates, we graduate every year, about 82% hold a bachelor degree from the open access institutions and open access programs. Next, please. So as I said, most of the problems we have them in the open access. First of all, we have problems of attrition. Up to 47% drop out before getting any degree. Only 13% get their bachelor degree in 3 years, which is the nominal period. Otherwise, they have to spend 4 years and more to get their bachelor degree. We also have a limited resources in this system. Too many students and too little resources compared to this number of students. Because of the sheer number of students, they involve less in extracurricular activities. In those institutions, also the programs are more of fundamental nature and theoretical nature, and some of them are outdated actually. For example, only 15% of high school graduates enroll in science and technology university programs. Most of them enroll in law school. This is totally opposed to what happens in the States. For example, in the States, to get into law school, it's very, very, very difficult. In Morocco, the easier programs are incidentally the law programs. And quite obviously, this has an adverse impact on employability, because that's where we have high unemployment rate, very low language proficiency, lack of soft skills, skill mismatch. So these are the problems we have for the graduates and for those students coming from the bachelor degree of the open access system. Next, please. So now I'm going to give you information about the employability of university graduates. Next, please. So first of all, the general context. Up to the mid-1980s, there was no major problem of university graduates because the number of graduates numbers were small, and also public jobs were available, mainly in the educational sector. And many companies were either public or semi-public. So economic profitability was not a major issue for them, so they can employ more people. But from the 1990s, we start to having problems with employment of university graduates because the number of graduates increased and because of the job opportunities in the public sector were decreasing. That's why in the 1980s, the problem was so crucial that in 1990, a council was created called the National Council of the Youth and the Future. This is just to show that there was a problem of employability of the graduates, because this council was responsible for contributing to the adaptation of the education and training system to the needs of the country's economy, for an adequate preparation of the future young Moroccans, and to the achievement of their integration into the national productive system, which means to be employable. Next, please. Now, the economic context. This figure here shows a serious and huge imbalance of supply and demand in the job market. We have a number of graduates, for example, from the period of 2010 to 2015, we had something like 350,000 graduates, but we only created about 100,000 jobs, which is a serious imbalance. And most of the students who we graduated were from the open access, 68%. They are the ones who are not holding those jobs that are offered. So we have too few jobs, but for the selective access rather than the open access. And this shows the biggest problem we have. Next, please. So this slide shows actually the unemployment rate for people who hold a higher education diploma and for people that don't hold a diploma at all. And this shows that actually, if you don't have a diploma, you have more chances to get a job. Quite obviously, that means that the jobs that are offered, most of the jobs that are offered are low-skilled jobs, actually. This is one of the problems. So these are data from the Haut Commissariat au Plan. So this shows the problems we're having with the employment of graduate students from universities. Next, please. These graphs show the unemployment among the youth age 15 to 24. You see that unemployment here again shows that unemployment is higher for this fraction of age for graduates from universities, 19.5% unemployment rate, whereas for people without a diploma, it's only 3.7%. Unemployment among here it's in the other graph is the unemployment among university graduates. Unemployment among university graduates, but for different degrees. So the highest unemployment rate is for the bachelor degree holders. We have less for the master's degree and even less for PhD. So these data are a little bit odd, but it still give an idea of the situation. Next, please. So in terms of the matching to the jobs offered, in terms of the vertical match, actually, the higher the diploma, the better the match is. Which means that jobs that require higher diploma are really well tailored to the degrees. But where we have a problem, we have it in the horizontal match. That shows this shows that there is a gap and a skill mismatch between what we graduate and the jobs that are offered. The diagnosis was done by national bodies, the Higher Council for Education, Training and Scientific Research, the Economic, Social and Environmental Council, the General Confederation of Moroccan Companies, and also by international bodies, World Bank, African Bank for Development, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. They all point to significant skill mismatch among bachelor degree, essentially bachelor degree holders. As I said, the 82% of the graduates, essentially because of language deficiency, soft skills deficiency, and also sometimes technical skills. Next, please. So what do we do to improve employability for these university graduates? This is a huge problem, a huge challenge. So this is why we have this reform scheme that we have been undertaken a long time ago. Now it's implemented it. In its newest form, it's called the ISRI Pact for accelerating the transformation of the higher educational system. It draws on the strategic vision that was developed by the High Council for Education and Research back in 2015. This vision was translated into a framework law, 5117. And also there was in 2021, the new development model and the government program for the period 2021-2026. So this strategic plan has 4 axes: a global pedagogical reform, a quality research to international standards, a performant innovation ecosystem, and a renovated governance of the system, mainly of the universities, to give them more autonomy. Next, please. So at the heart of this transformation, it's a concept of a renowned university that will heavily rely on the digital technologies. That's going to be territorially anchored to be more attuned to the needs of the region, to be attuned to international scientific and technological progress in terms of research, and also to be a catalyst of social and economic development, both at the regional level and at the national level. Next, please. So the most backbone, if you will, of this plan is going to be a global pedagogical reform that relies on a pedagogy that is student-centered, competency-based approach that uses hybrid teaching methods, flipped classrooms, innovative pedagogies, project-based learning, cooperative education. The objective is to empower the graduates, to give them more autonomy, to give them more abilities in terms of their critical thinking abilities, engage in teamwork, aware of their social and environmental ecosystem, and to have also general culture, instead of just having graduates, for example, in specific fields with a narrow vision of the and narrow scope of knowledge. We also want to have this, we work to have these students, these graduates have a language proficiency. We will be requiring certification, which we are not doing right now. We will be requiring certification to be able to hold degrees, certification in foreign languages, and to foster the use of English as a medium of instruction, because now, especially in science and technology, we use mostly French. So we're going to be fostering the use of English to have more international coverage and openness. We also are in the process, because now we are conducting regional forums to talk to companies, to have them to ascertain their needs in order to develop relevant programs involving potential recruiters, programs that are tuned to regional and national job markets, and that focus on areas where Morocco is gaining regional lead, such as the automotive industry, aeronautics, and renewable energies. We will also have moved to a more flexible pedagogy by adopting a credit system, which we don't have up to now, in order to be able for graduates to change course if need is be, so that to lower this attrition rate that we are having as I said, in the open system, and also to encourage students to engage in extracurricular activities, because this will enrich their life at the university, and at the same time give them and arm them with the needed soft skills, much needed by recruiters. Next, please. In addition to this, we are developing structures that will accompany the students for a smooth transition from student life to active life. And one pillar of this structures is the career centers, which incidentally we developed with the help of the USAID. We had a USAID project that financed the establishment of 3 campuses in Marrakesh, Casablanca, and Tangiers. My colleague Abdelrazak Msaga was the one who supervised the implementation of these three centers, and now we are in the process of generalizing this concept to other universities, to have them in the 12 public universities. We also be developing the entrepreneurship culture and entrepreneurship spirit of the students, because as the economy does not create too many jobs. So we need to have graduates that are able to create their own companies, so to be able not only to employ themselves, but to employ others. And we have, as a matter of fact, we developed a system through an Erasmus project, where we have an entrepreneurship status for the students. And we developed this in the university in Casablanca and in Rabat. And here also, we will generalize that to other campuses as well. And finally, we were working on developing a digital platform of labor market that can be informative for graduates, so that they can have an idea where the jobs are by using big data and artificial intelligence, and to be able to make the link between the job market, the recruiters, and the graduates, and also to give us as the ministry and to our universities where the need is growing, so that we can develop programs, to be able to respond to those needs. So thank you very much for your attention, and we will be, Mr. Abdelrazak and myself will stand ready if you have any questions. Thank you very much, and thank you, Anita, for the super work of producing this presentation. Thank you very much. Anita?
Hi, everyone feel free to use the chat or come off mute if you have any questions for the presenters.
So Abdelrazak, you can access the chat?
Yes, of course. But there is any question? I think there is no question in the chat now, until now.
So it's all clear, apparently. Okay, we have a question here. Could you please elaborate a bit more on the vertical and horizontal mismatch? Yeah, can you go please to that slide? Anita? Yeah, it's the slide number. No, actually, the vertical here, the first, the left graph shows a vertical match, and the right one shows the horizontal actually mismatch. So the vertical match means what are the qualifications that are needed, whether the qualifications match the needed qualifications by the degree. For example, people who have PhD degrees are more qualified, if you will, to the jobs they hold, compared to the master's degree, which have a better match, better vertical match than the bachelor degree holders. For the horizontal match, it's actually the skill mismatch. Skill mismatch between the employments that are offered and the competencies of the graduates in general. I don't know if you're, Mr. Abdulrazak, would you like to intervene in terms of this?
Yes, of course.
Sure.
It's the main idea of, especially for vertical matches. It is the match between the level of education of the graduates and especially the level needed in the labor markets. And in this prospect, we have very vertical matching between, especially for PhD degree, between our competencies in the competencies of the graduates of our university and the needs of the market labor. But for the bachelor, there is this mismatch between the level, especially can be a mismatch in terms of we have less competencies needed by the labor markets than the bachelor degree or especially for some industries and especially for agriculture sector in our economy. Exactly. But for the horizontal match, especially in terms of competencies, which is related to language, to skills, especially for soft skills, but also for some technical skills. We have some other questions, Mr. Tahiri, if you can.
Yeah. Just to elaborate on this point, for example, for the PhD, because the jobs we offer are mainly as higher education instructors, and these anyway require a PhD to be able to be processed. That's why we have a better vertical match, for example, for PhD. Now, for the other questions, a question was about how many students go to a PhD. As a matter of fact, compared to the student population, not too much. We have something right now, as I said, we have about 1 million students, and in terms of the number of PhDs, it's got to be about 30,000 students in the PhD system.
Mrs. Lebna said that the shared overview of the higher education system in Morocco is very clear. Thank you. Thank you also, Mrs. Lebna. If there is any other questions, we are welcome.
Oops. Okay. Good.
It's okay. Respondent question from the presentation.
No personal questions explains the relevant high employability. Okay. Low percentage of PhD students explains
the relevant high employability rate.
But unfortunately, it's a very low level actually of students that go to a PhD.
Could you share some examples of how career centers develop relevance of schools for graduates? Yes, I can respond to this question, Mr. Tahiri. So,
Sure.
For example, for the links between university and companies, we in the three experiences in the campuses of Tangier and Casablanca and Marrakesh. In this experience of career centers, we had a lot of partnership agreements between university companies, especially with career centers, between career centers and the companies of the regions. And also we have a lot of graduates with a lot of them have an experience program with the career centers counselors, and in the relationship between the career center and the companies, we can have a lot of programs of soft skills, especially for the first integration between of graduates in the companies. We use the programs of career centers and the courses developed in the career centers in order to facilitate the integration of the new graduates in some companies. So and we have a lot of virtual services which are shared with our students, our graduates, but also shared with the companies of the three regions, and for also with the companies from all the Moroccan regions. So I think it is very important to develop this experience, especially in order to generalize it in all the Moroccan all Moroccan regions, not only the three experiences in the three campuses in Casablanca, Tangier, and Marrakesh.
Yeah, the career center, it's a space where companies and prospective graduates come together, and also there is a digital platform that teaches soft skills, and that the graduates and even not only university students, youth can generally come to the career center and use this platform to learn how to manage time, how to conduct an interview, how to engage in teamwork. So it's it's very rich actually.
And therefore, this platform and the career centers, we can use it not only for university graduates, but also for further education graduates and for youth, Moroccan youth in general. So there is no specific requirement to benefit from the services of the career centers. Any other questions?
Good. So, okay, Anita, if there's no other question.
I have another question that I can drop in the chat for you.
Okay.
So here's one more question.
Anticipate any challenge in making private sector as the careers that are generalized to other provinces beyond Casablanca. Yes, as a matter of fact, as I said, we will be concomitantly develop the career centers, generalize them, but at the same time, as I said, we are in this process of holding regional forums, and one of the participants, we invite companies to these regional forums, so that we want this the career centers. We want to engage also local companies and regional companies. So that's something, as a matter of fact, because one of the difficulties we were having before is how to bring university and companies together, to sit together, to discuss, to work together, to develop programs together. And this is what we are doing, as I said, by this platform, the career centers, and at the same time, these regional forums. This is the first time where the ministry is organizing regional forums, and we invite companies. We also invite NGOs, non-governmental organizations, to take part. In addition, of course, to the higher educational sector and to the local elected people from the regions. So, because these are the main players of the system, to make sure that we develop a common vision for. Of course, there is a lot of pedagogy into this, to bring together these people together, to talk together, and to work together, especially. And we up to now we have had about 7 of those encounters. We still have 5 or 6 more to go. And as a matter of fact, the presence was very important, both from the private sector and also from, as I said, from the NGOs and from the elected officials in the regions.
I would like to add for in terms of figures in this about the relationship between career centers and the companies in the region, especially for the 3 regions. We have until now more than 300 active partnerships between career centers and companies of the 3 regions, which is very important in terms of links between university and companies in the regional perspectives.
So Abdulrazak, they are asking something that you can answer very well. Is there a collaboration process in place with the Ministry of Employment? Because you were working with them a lot.
Yes, of course. There is very important collaboration between the 2 ministries, and we had in the presentation we had for example, now we work together in order to develop a national platform, digital platform between where there is a collaboration between our ministry and the Ministry of Employment, and also of some other ministries, especially for the Ministry of Industry and Trade, which are also a very important component of this, especially for the issues related to the labor market, especially for industries and trades. So there is very important collaboration, especially in order to have a clear idea about the future of labor markets in our country and also in the world. So there is a lot of collaboration in this issue between the 2 ministers. Thank you.
About 15 minutes left.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Perfect.
So the presentation is very clear.
Oh, I hope.
Oh.
It was, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Perfect.
Perfect.
So it's okay, Anita, apparently.
Thanks
No
for your
question?
patience both. We'll be here for the next 10 minutes. So if somebody wants to come off of mute,
Sure, no
free,
problem.
but,
I'm
you
gonna
know,
be here. No
yeah,
problem.
we'll keep the room open as you guys come in and as we have participants entering the room.
No problem.
Okay.
Thank you everyone for your participation.
You.
I have a question. I guess these are my questions.
Sure.
So the students that are in these programs in the career centers, are you finding that there is a lot of interest? So are you keeping up with the demand from students themselves?
There is great
Yeah.
demand, and Abdulrazak can give you figures, I think.
Yes,
They are-
yes. We have at least now, until now, we have at least 300,000
300,000
students have
beneficiaries.
beneficiaries from the three career centers, and we have at least 2 million visitors of our virtual career center platform. So it is very interesting in terms of the use of the career center services, physical services in the three campuses, but also the virtual services in our virtual career center platform website.
Anita, Mrs. Lubna Suhail is asking whether is it possible to share the presentation. Yes, as far as we are concerned, no problem. Anita, you can share the presentation, but no problem.
I have another question.
Sure.
So I'm curious about the language proficiency question, because, making sure that graduates have the language skills they need in both French and potentially English to be successful in the labor market. Do you feel that the universities are meeting that need? What are they making partnerships in order to meet the language specific needs to ensure that folks have the proficiency they need to succeed? Because I do know the language issue in Morocco is a very specific and challenging one. It starts from before university. And is the answer really just in the universities? Or is there the bigger issue than the university can address?
Thank you for that question. Very important question. Language of instruction is, as you said, very important and big issue in Morocco. It always has been. It's still there. As a matter of fact, at the university, when we receive students, we receive them after high school diploma. And as you know, high school, language proficiency, it's much more developed at a younger age. So that's why actually the Minister of Education is also engaging in improving the language proficiency of the students. But we will be seeing the results in 15 years. We're not going to be waiting until that time to receive the students that are well trained, that are proficient in terms of languages. So that's why we have to, at the university level, to work in order to improve in language proficiency of students. And it's possible. It's possible because, even at the later age, you can still improve your language proficiency if you put in the means that are necessary. And that was quite challenging before, because you need too many instructors. But now with these digital platforms, like Rosetta Stone and others, actually, Alticia, Coursera, these are digital platforms that can be used to improve the students' proficiency, especially now that we have generations that are more digitally oriented and that use the digital. And we see, as a matter of fact, that students, more and more now we see students that are more proficient in languages than what we had before, especially English. And sometimes just because of television, actually. Just because of television, they improve by watching programs in English, they improve their language proficiency. So these platforms, we will be using different means. Of course, we will be addressing the problem at the roots with the help of the national education system, but also we will be developing, and as a matter of fact, we are developing, implementing language centers within the universities that are equipped with these digital platforms, and that would require lesser amount or lesser, that will for needing less human resources, actually, because that's where we have the problem in order to accompany the students. And also the fact that we will be requiring a certified level of language in order to hold a degree. That's going to be a huge incentive for the students to go and learn by themselves, and then address